Well, welcome to Conscious Gatherers. Tonight's episode is number 126, and today's date is August the 6th, 2024. We welcome you all. My name is Beverly Thompson, and actually on another line is A.J. Royce.
Hello, everybody.
So, welcome. Since we're not in the same space this time, we may be overlapping some of the way we talk, since we don't have that face-to-face communication. So hang with us if we do that. So, which probably will happen. So anyway, we have a lot to share and a lot realized. Actually, in the last few minutes, we are talking about a few things about rebuke, the word rebuke. So we'll get into that in just a bit. And then we're going to discuss what our insights are, and I think there's a lot to think about there, which I always think that. and then also a Lion's Gate, which is the celestial portal, and the strongest day is the 8th of this month. So that is an 888. So, which is...
And that's for the month, the day, and adding up the numbers of the year.
Yeah, thank you. Royce, in numerology, the number 8 is associated with good fortune, and it's also the symbol for infinity when you turn the 8 sideways. Can you, since you're get into some of that, your geometry and that sort of thing, can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, when I see the 8 on its side or upright, the first thing that always comes to my mind is the analemma, and that's a symbol. It's in the shape of the figure 8, except the top is a smaller loop than the bottom. The bottom is a larger loop than the top. And what the analemma is, it's the cycle of a year in relation to the sun and the earth. So it's a full cycle of a year. So it really ties in with the Lion's Gate, the 888 this year, being that full cycle. A lot of issues, people's issues are coming to light right now. Things that haven't been ironed out and have really needed to be ironed out, or things that were in your past long ago that never got, there's a word that I'm looking for. The resolution just never came. It's just something left hanging from the past. So a lot of those things are being finalized right now, brought to light so we can deal with them, get them dealt with, see them for what they have to teach us, say thank you, and keep on going.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that explanation. If you look at astronomically and what's the right word?
Logically.
Well, that too. All right. Is basically the alignment, the Earth is alignment with the Sun in Leo, astrologically. Okay. Alignment with the Sun in Leo, with the star Sirius and Orion's belt and the Earth. And on the 8th, Sirius is closest to Earth. And there's the Egyptians, Sirius was very important to the Egyptians. And some of the temples that when the light of one of the brightest stars in the sky, by the way. And so when it would hit a certain point in a temple, it would light up a pedestal. I do remember that. So there was that real close connection that Egyptians knew about Sirius. And a lot of people here are very close to Sirius also, as well as myself in many, many ways. So it's just interesting. I think we're going to find out more of all of those connections as we learn more about ourselves.
Yeah, and I think something that is going to be coming online in the near future is when Betelgeuse, which is part of the Orion constellation, if you're looking at Orion in the sky, it would be his right-handed shoulder. So it would be the star up on the left to us looking at it. When Betelgeuse goes supernova, it's going to outshine Sirius. And so there's going to be another shift taking place. So get ready for that.
All right. And as we see light today, it probably happened. Just the light has not reached here yet, because we are still in that, operating out of a timeline. And so we don't see it right away. At least that's my thoughts. Do you have any more thoughts on that?
Well, I was told about it in the 90s, the late 90s. So and I was told that it was going to happen soon. So
okay.
Whether it happened back then or what, I'm not too sure. But like you said, for us to get the visual of it, it takes a long time.
It does.
Because
it does.
of it being light years.
Oops. We've lost Royce. So not sure what's happening there. So hopefully
I'm here.
Oh, you are here.
Hear me?
No, you blinked out. So yeah.
Sorry
so
about that.
so if you can remember what you just said. Yeah. All right. Well,
I was just making reference to it. Light travels. A light year is thousands of miles away in distance. So it takes a long time for the light to get here from a star that far away.
Yeah. Continuing with the Lionsgate portal, it's also in alignment with the galactic center, and we've been receiving surges of energy to transform ourselves. That's what's going on, and it's really a time for affirmations. Even though, to me, there's always is a time for affirmations, because that's what changes our world.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings is, I am a powerful being. And so you can say, I am an unlimited, powerful being. So the more that we realize that, the more power that we will hold within, because that affirmation and understanding then comes to light. Remember that the old ways do not fit our bodies. And this is something that we talked about, I think, 2 or so episodes ago, that there is no fix. So, we want to fix the economy. We want to fix this. We want to fix it. Let's go back to the way we were and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, And so there really is no fix. So, as you were just saying a few minutes ago, it's the release of the old and embrace the new. So, that's all going on right now. So, trust that inner knowing. And so work on your self-acceptance and self-love. And at this time, you may receive, this time and other times too, you may receive divine downloads, sudden flashes of inspiration or awarenesses, and energetic activations. So we are, remember, we are integrating new levels of consciousness. So that's that. And the big thing, too, is letting go of the ego. And so our world views are being challenged, and it's not all it appears as it's seen. And just remember that to keep your mental health and physical health the best that you can do. And if it's just to say, hey, this is just, we're going through this, something comes up for you to look at, as Roy said a moment ago, look at it to see for what it's there for, and then if it doesn't serve anymore, release it. So anyway, Royce, just a moment here. You had mentioned in our conversation before we got on this call that we were talking about, judgment and the programming and ego. So I just thought we would talk a little bit more about that, because to me it's very important at this time.
Yeah, well, you had brought up something about there was some ball player or something years ago.
Yes.
Who was being given a large sum of money for doing what he did, and for how that was looked at was like, what does that person need all that money for? And the thing that came to you was,
how do you know how he's going to spend it? And I'm like, whoa, something along those lines. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, it really got me, because I thought, how who am I to judge what this baseball player is getting as a sign up or whatever it was, and signing for a large sum of money? Who's it for me to say?
There's one of the very wealthy people from the past. I keep wanting to think it was Carnegie, but it may not have been, but it may have been attributed to him as saying that he felt it was his duty to make as much money as earthly possible so that he could do as much good as earthly possible with it. So it puts it into perspective,
It sure does. It sure does. So, the people that, that judge you for why do you have this big of a house, or why do you have to do this, whatever it is, they're projecting an energy. And I can feel it. And so that happened earlier today with me, and Royce could even feel it coming from me. So it's like, whoa. And so I'm like, well, this is all a falsehood. I'm not going to fall into it. That this person was talking about a falsehood to me. And I thought, do I want to play with this or play in this? And it's like, no, I really don't.
Yeah, and that is a wonderful thing. It's a big sign of the times that we're in. We're in that time where it's time to decide, what are you going to keep and what are you going to get rid of? How are you going to move forward? So, this is a wonderful time for these things being sometimes rudely shoved into our faces, It
is.
And it's great, because it's like, knock, knock, do you want to keep this? And if it affected you, that means it meant something to you. So it's like, ooh, I got to look at this.
Yeah, well said. Because, that projection, is that not a judgment toward you?
Yeah.
Are you going to play with that? Is that part of the programming that we have been in, that, wow, you shouldn't have more than me, or why do you have that, or whatever it is? It doesn't matter. Why do you do that? All these judgments
that we for? Yeah.
Exactly. I found myself saying that to other people, and then I soon get shut up, and rightly so. So it's like, wow, I realize what I'm doing. You're laughing because I have done that with Royce. So
but it's so wonderful. We're giving each other the opportunity to verbalize the choices that we're making. When somebody says something to you, directing that energy to you, it's an opportunity for you to be active in what it is that we're preaching. Move forward. You can't take your baggage with you.
Yeah, and that's baggage. And that is all ego as the master. And you think that the wealthy ones, or whatever terminology you want to use, are the ones that have all the ego. No, that is your ego saying, why do you need that?
Yeah. Funny, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is. So you start looking, it's like, it's none of your darn business. So, you be quiet. So.
Yeah, but it makes you think about that finger that's pointing out. You've got three pointing right back at you.
Exactly.
When you point the finger at somebody else.
Exactly. Well, all right. I'm going to move on. I did get a little more information about the Lion's Gate, and I would like to share that with you, and then I will share my insights received today, and then Ms. Royce will do the same. So it's going to be a lot to think about. So here we go. All right. Regarding Lion's Gate, this great lion who seems to swallow you up is actually a gateway in further understandings of you, the galactic human. The energetic influences of this time have a great effect on Earth's populace. That is why there are so many uprisings. You think? This will continue until the majority of the Earth's populace steps forward and says, no more. The use of love in your heart is a grand force for humanity to use to bring about this change into a more harmonic existence. So use it. So I thought, wow, okay. Then I had received the takedown of the cabal is almost complete. Your world is being made new through a lens that is long. So, not sure what all that means, but anyway, I'm going to go on. Old world falls, new world begins, and so it has begun. So that is about what's going on now, and, well, of course, this is all going on now. My message my insight message is as follows. I heard the word peace, and that's really been coming up. Peace. I think the last podcast I got it all in capital letters. So, it's like, are you getting this yet? This is all about peace. So here we go. Peace is the first understanding we wish to impart to you today. What you see going on in your world certainly doesn't seem like peace because it is the antithesis. However, it is a way for you to understand the processes that have gone on to bring your consciousness to a point of either love or ignorance. Soon there will be no ignorance on this plane of earth. You cannot be ignorant and knowing at the same time. And this knowingness that is being washed onto Earth's populace is happening at an accelerated rate. To be ignorant is to die. I'm thinking, whoa. Of course we mean this metaphorically. To rise into conscious understanding, all blinders need to come off. And that indeed is what is happening. It is the return of the sacred, even though that is a misnomer. You always have been sacred if you choose to use this word. You are divine. You can be no less. And that's something I was told early on in my writing. You are divine.
Hear, hear.
You know less. Yeah. So this coming season of understanding is you realizing this great plan you all put together. You on Earth are a melting pot of great galactic civilizations. Embrace who you are. So that is it. And one thing I was told a few minutes later was dream big. Mentioned that in the last episode. It said dream big, and those dreams shall manifest even bigger. So we've got a lot to look forward to, but it's letting go of all that baggage that Royce and I were discussing earlier on judgment, programming, ego, as a master, and all of that. It's like, are we getting hooked in to some of this verbiage that has come through quite a few people, or being told through mainstream media or whatever? Are we getting hooked into that, or is it a bunch of BS? So you start looking at that in a whole other time. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you start feeling that reaction, it's like it's time to look at it, because it's something building up within yourself that is saying, hey, it's time to let go of this. This doesn't fit your body anymore because we're raising up.
Because it does affect your body. You feel that energy directed, and like, you're kind of, pull your elbow, my upper arms in. It's like, ooh, or you cover your solar plexus. So those are some of the physical things that we have within our bodies to realize that I'm not so sure I like that. And if I don't like it, then why? Is this an energy that is really that I don't need to take into me? Yeah, and it is true, because you don't, because you tend to, fold your arms across your body, or you, again, pull in. It's something that's not for you. And if you do that, that means you may have a little bit of that left in you. It's like, I'm done with that crap. I don't want to go there. So
yeah, something that I've been putting into practice here lately is doing something just the opposite of what I used to do, which was to cower from it, to pull in from it, What I do now is I just fill myself up with more light and let that billow out. I was doing that in the emergency room at the hospital yesterday?
Yeah.
Because, there are a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff in there. And my attention was, I wasn't feeling it because I wasn't letting it in. I know better than to do that now. But I became aware of it, and so I knew to go into action. It's like this room needs some light, So I just filled myself up more with light and just let it billow out.
Well, I'm going to, because people are listening, is that you were in the hospital. One of your family members is in, and you were taking care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but realizing, what goes on in a hospital, talking about energies in a hospital, wow.
Yeah, they've got it all.
Yeah, and it's hard on the body if you allow it to be.
Yeah, I tell you, my hat's off to the people whose profession has them work in places like hospitals, because that's an intensive job.
Yeah. So let's appreciate those that are there for us when we need them. So, all right, Royce, I would love for you to share.
Okie dokie. This is my insight. The first line I wrote was the microcosm of the universe, which, at first glance, it seems to be, just the opposite of what you would expect it to be. You think of the Omniverse as a macrocosm instead of microcosm, but this is the first line, the microcosm of the Omniverse. Have you ever seen Omniverse? Did I say universe to start off with?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to change that to Omniverse, please.
All right, go right ahead.
Okay. Have you ever seen a picture made up of thousands of credit cards? When you zoom in on the picture, it actually looks like a jumbled up mess. But when you zoom out, you begin to see that what looked like a jumble of mismatched cards comes across to create a finely detailed cheek of someone's face. Zoom out, and the full face begins to emerge until finally the entire portrait of the Mona Lisa appears. But even the portrait of the Mona Lisa is surrounded by a frame which hangs on a wall, which is part of a museum which resides in France, which is part of the European continent, which is part of the Earth, which is part of our solar system, which is part of the Milky Way galaxy, which is part of the known universe, which is part of this Omniverse I'm talking about, which is part of, well, what can you imagine? But just as a human cell is part of the tissue which comprises some body part like an organ, could it be that what we know as the Omniverse is likened to an organ within a body which exists within a flash of light, a synoptic fire within the unlimited confines of our brains? Each and every tangible creation both begins and ends within the fire of creative imagination. It is within that creative imagination that is very familiar to the beasts of the field and the fowl of the air and every other magnificent member of the animal kingdom. They are crying out at this particular time of our evolution, trying to wake us up to remember how to float within that sea of creative imagination. That is where we find it. That is where we reconnect to the peace and the freedom of purity and truth, of not only the possibilities which lie within us, but to the realization of the expression of it, an expression born out of fire burning upon ice. Now, when I use the term ice, I'm talking about that tempering effect that ice has upon fire. With fire, you have a lot of heat, intense heat. But the ice, as opposed to just water, ice brings in the cooling features without the watering down of the fire. So you still have the impact, but you have the tempering of it. And that's the thing that helps us to create purely and wisely.
Wow. Thank you.
Sure.
It just, I'm just looking at the words and that you just spoke about the fire of created imagination. So it goes along with what I wrote earlier about dreaming big, and those dreams shall manifest even bigger. All the same thing.
Yep.
So this is our evolution into the new world. It is us creating this new world or this new earth. And remember that we are, we are many galactic civilizations, and so we become what we have termed a galactic human.
Yeah, our DNA is chock full of information that it is in the process of opening. And what we're going to find out is some really neat stuff there.
We will. Why do we have these 12 strands of DNA? Think about it. Why have we only used 2 or maybe 4 strands at this moment? And why are the other strands of DNA coming online? Your thoughts?
Well, I think that if all 12 of them came online right now, it would be like that fire upon the ice thing, the tempering. When the body is not tempered, introducing too much fire, too much light, could have detrimental effects. So it's to our benefit that it unfolds more slowly as we raise our vibration so that we can tolerate that much light.
Yeah, good way of putting it. Tolerate, because if we got this all at once, I don't think we would survive in our physical bodies. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so we're a work in progress.
And we're doing the work.
Yeah.
So it's our movie, if you know, all this, what we project, and we're projecting together and creating this wondrous movie that unfolds to our thoughts, desires, creativity. All means the same thing to me. So, here we are in the Lionsgate portal, and let our imagination soar. Okay, any last words? Royce?
No, I think that the word deprogramming, or reprogramming, there's a deconditioning that goes along with that. So I think it's a softer word to lead us in the same direction, But sometimes our words, are very fiery.
Yeah.
So I like the word deconditioning.
I guess if you want to, but we're seeing our true self, and so we're letting go of the old programming. So it's really, I don't know if you can call it reprogramming, just something to look at. And as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? If we're getting rid of an old thing that we want to get rid of, whether we call it deprogramming or deconditioning, when you introduce something new, it would be kind of nice just to say, well, you don't even want to use the word programming anymore, because there's a sense of freedom which comes with so much light,
I see it's our imaginations coming forth in bigger, well, you can use that word bigger, and extraordinary ways. And I think I feel that's where we're going as humanity. And that I've gotten words jubilation, but it's even beyond our imagination, because it's all our imaginations put together is what we're going to be experiencing on this earth plane. So
yeah, it's like our conversations. Sometimes we'll think it's going to go in one direction, and then one of us will have a thought, and we verbalize that, and it's like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to go there. and it takes us off in another direction, a good direction. So, but it's neat when we put our thoughts together, when we put those fires together.
Well, I like you mentioned the word verbalize, because if we keep quiet about it, then who's going to hear us? Unless you have a good, your thoughts can transfer into another, which is really the way that many people do communicate. Many, what I term off-worlders, but or inner-worlders, both. But when we verbalize those thoughts, then that may be a light that other person needs for their imaginations to start soaring. So, it keeps playing on, I'm trying to figure out the words to use. It brings us to all new understandings, but it's understandings that keep growing, because that is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it's part of the creative process. What was the word that you just said? It just flew right out of my head.
Verbalizing? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Now they'll just go bye-bye.
That happens.
The verbalization, it's like you can even look at that biblically, where it says, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That creative process, thought to word, word to flesh, the activity, the bringing into the physical world from the higher dimensions to the physical realm. Amazing.
Yeah, that we know. We know that life is beyond the physical, but being in this physical, in this third, fourth, fifth, and sixth and seventh, actually, but on Earth we're experiencing more of the third, fourth dimensions right now. And so, at least most of us. But for source, if you want to call it source, God, but I really don't even like to use that word, total source of all that is. And so we're understanding what we are within that. It's really not an entity. It's just an energy. It's really hard to explain this, isn't it? It's within the
hard
whole.
To put something.
Yeah, it's hard to put something into words.
That has no limitation, because words are limitation. That's just the name of the game.
Yeah. So it's interesting, though, for people to look at the biblical sense. The Word became God, or however it's said. It's our thoughts. It's our thoughts. Our thoughts are our prayers. It's all the same thing to me. And so, you start realizing that what those are within you. And so that's, we're talking about deprogramming. All of that are all those programmed thoughts are leaving us because they don't serve us anymore. Unless they do serve you. I mean, that's up to each individual. But I'm letting go of all those old programs that keep me held down. No longer will I be held down, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
In
right.
fact,
no more.
Going through some of the things that I received in the last couple of years, and one word that came forth, and I did talk about it in one of our podcasts quite a while ago, but was the word Satan. And then I was told, does Satan not mean sat upon? Is not that the same as being held down? So, something to think about. Something to think about. Why have we created all of this? It is us, guys. I feel it is us.
Yeah.
We can't
and
point
why
that
have we? Yeah, that's right. That's why. Why have we snuffed out our fire? Why have we dummied down our thoughts? Because it's the fire. The accomplishment of whatever can be accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're still having fun with all of this. I call it having fun.
Yeah, because we realize more each moment,
It's like, wow. A lot of wows lately. So, yeah. All right, I think we have really discussed quite a bit of things that for each of us to think about and to realize what's within us and what our capabilities are so much grander when we start letting go of the old programs. So we, as we're going through this time, really interesting times worldwide, it's like, what the heck is going on? It doesn't make any sense. At least it doesn't to me. It's like crazy times. And where
but
I have you.
When you're seeing the crazy times, back up just a little bit. Zoom out and see the bigger picture. And you might get to see what's really happening.
Well, I thought it was, zooming out. I thought it was interesting that when your insight started out with credit cards.
Yeah.
Think about that. And then all of a sudden you zoom out, it's a picture of Mona Lisa. It's like, wait a minute, what does she represent? So, those of you listening, I think you can start putting things together and coming up with your own interpretation. So it's really fun to think about. So I love it. I love the way that you have discussed this. So thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for what you have contributed. Great wisdom.
Well, go ahead.
No, I said what I had to say.
All right. Well, our next episode is going to be on August the 20th, and hopefully, Royce and I will be, face to face, and we'll have to see how that goes. But we thank you all for joining us in this episode, and please share any of your thoughts, any of your ideas, any of your experiences. We'd love to hear it. And talking about verbalizing, and it can be in written word, and then that assists all of us. It helps everybody, and to be more open. And I think more people are being open, and so instead of so closed. So interesting times as we're releasing what no longer serves us. So thank you all, and we love you. And Royce?
Yeah, I had asked all of you to remember my friend Daniel last time. He had heart surgery, and he went through quite an ordeal, but he is home and doing well, and even cutting his own grass now. So thank you very much for your prayers and uplifting thoughts directed his way. And my brother Wally is in the hospital right now. He is doing a whole lot better than he was, and I would like for you to please hold him up in your thoughts and prayers. That would be greatly appreciated. And with it still being quite hot and in some places very wet weather, please watch out for our little ones exposed to the elements, the animals, and watch out for people who have no place to be in shelters. So,
yeah,
quite interesting and sometimes dismaying times, but keep lifting people up. Lift yourself up. Fill yourself with light. Fill the world with light, because light works beautiful things. So thank you very much. I'm very, very honored to be here on the planet with all of you right now, and I thank you so much for staying.
Beautifully said, and thank you. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.